you know, I'm a debt collector. Or literally half of the fucking people make money directly by selling Trump merch. Like, I feel like, you know how I have a Hasanabi Clips cottage industry now? There's like a franchise where, you know, I have like clip channels that are unaffiliated with me. They're just fan-made clip channels, but like they themselves make a fuckload of money now, which is awesome, and I'm happy for them. Like, that's how Trump has built his support, where like, I feel like there's a franchise of Donald Trump supporters who also make money by supporting Donald Trump. It's like a multi-level marketing scheme. Not to say that my clip industry is like that. It's not. But it's basically the same mentality where they not only love Trump, but they also make money off of their love for Trump. And that's precisely why you have like 80,000 different variations of the same ugly-ass Trump shirt. Trump with a big penis. Trump as John Rambo, as you can fucking see right here behind me. You know, Trump with massive pecs. Trump on a fucking hog. Trump on a literal porky hog. Trump riding a fucking Harley Davidson bike. There's just like so many different ugly fucking Trump merchandise out there because there's so many different like third-party retailers. Okay? And that's how it's impossible not to recognize when someone is a Trump supporter. That's it. Because they're like vegans. You know how you know when someone's a vegan? Because they'll fucking tell you. It's like Donald Trump supporters. You never can, like, you can't avoid learning that someone's a Trump supporter. They cannot shut the fuck up about loving Donald Trump. And because they're also 3 IQ overall. Yeah, shut up, vegans. Oh, Jesus Christ. Immediately, vegans are upset at my joke. I'm vegan, by the way, is like a meme in this community, and you're still fucking mad that I'm like doing the most cliche bit on the planet. Anyway. It's impossible to avoid that they're Trump supporters. And because they're 3 IQ, they literally telegraph their moves. Because I feel like if they don't say it out loud, like what they were going to do, they're going to forget what they were going to do and then end up trailing away because they have no object permanence. And they literally cannot do 2 things at once. So that's why they have all the ugliest shirts, so you know that they're Trump supporters. And then on top of that, they're literally telegraphing what they're going to do. They're like, we're going to break into the Congress so we can steal Nancy Pelosi's gavel. I'm going to fuck that gavel. I'm a Trump supporter, by the way. Now, let me just let you know I'm doing this because I hate Democrats and I love Donald Trump and he told me to do it. And then you still have dumbass Republicans like Representative Brooks saying, oh, maybe it was Antifa. Bitch, no, the fuck it wasn't.
Yes, and there have been reports that there were instigators. There is no evidence or proof, as you allude to those suspicions, and in some cases,
well, we did have Lou. We did have some advance
speculations.
warning that there might be Antifa elements masquerading.
No, there wasn't. That's why I went on this long-ass rant about how Trump supporters be like. Anyway.
As Trump supporters in advance of the attack on the Capitol. So there is some evidence, but whether that's true or not, I can't say.
Then why did you just say it?
Yeah,
Then why did you just say it? Also, here's another thing that you must know. It's top of the hour every hour where I run a 60-second ad break. You no longer want to see the ads. All you need to do is subscribe. You can do it for $5 or for free with your Twitch Prime. But here it is. Here's the 60-second ad break. After that, we're going to continue on with Sarah Palin. And then finally, we're going to watch Congress reconvene tonight after the riots. And, do democracy because they're so fucking brave, dude. I love them. I love how brave they are, dude. Fuck! Here's a 60-second ad break.
It's evidence of intelligence that wasn't apparently well used by the authorities. But when I said we don't have evidence, we have nothing more than speculation at this point. Some conjuring about the prospect or the possibility. But I think your caution is a correct one, nonetheless.
Of course.
Yeah, it must have been Antifa.
Obvious video.
out there, that some misguided, very, very wrong-headed yahoos are out there causing this mayhem.
I mean, longtime fans of the show know that this is speaking to me in a way that I cannot describe to you. She got the bangs, she got the glasses, and the Midwestern accent. I gave myself a paper cut. Holy shit. With my nicotine gum, that's crazy. No septum, but she does have the Midwestern accent. I love Sarah Palin. I'm sorry. I'm just going to admit it. I mean, she's a freak, but also...
And we don't, and a lot of it is the media's fault. But Martha, keep in mind, we don't know who all were the instigators in this, of these horrible things that happened today. I think a lot of it is the Antifa folks. I've been sent pictures of the same characters whom were captured on images today storming the Capitol, as had been in protests on the other side of politics earlier in the summer. So I don't know, there's a lot of questions out there, and I wish we could trust the media to do its job, to go research, report who all these people are.
Yeah, one of the things that I'm looking...
You just say she's like Peggy Hill? Yeah. Except Peggy Hill's like way smarter than her, but Peggy Hill's awesome. She's a catch, dude. Are you kidding me? You're going to tell me Hank Hill doesn't have the ultimate woman? God damn it, Bobby. Peggy Hill's a saint, dude. You kidding me? Peggy Hill's smart? She is smart. Wow. Wow. What is this big city attitude I'm sensing in my bi-coastal elite fucking audience shitting on Peggy Hill and saying she's not smart? Wow. You should be ashamed of yourselves, dude. She is a substitute teacher of the year 3 years in a row. They should literally call it the Miss Peggy Hill Award. She speaks El Spanisho. Yeah, exactly. She's not. Have you watched the show? I think Peggy Hill has her own sensibilities. She's a boggle champ. Dog, her character was a Spanish teacher, was notoriously bad at Spanish. Yes, she's bad at Spanish, but she's a smart person outside of that. She unwittingly smuggled drugs into federal prison. She was coerced. She's trying her best. How dare you? I will die on this hill, dude.
For is whether or not we see arrests for the individuals who broke into the Capitol today. Their images are very clear. You can see their faces. They're smiling. It ought to be fairly easy to identify these people, just as we called for that over the course of the summer when we saw business owners who were beaten, whose businesses were set on fire. We called for arrests as well.
What about Dale, though? His son is so handsome, bro. Looks just like him. Dude, King of the Hill is a great show. It is a great fucking show. I can't stop watching it. I've been obsessed with it. It hurts my feelings that Hank Hill, without a fucking shred of a doubt, would vote for Donald Trump, though. Like, he is not voting for Hillary Clinton. I'm not from NA, and I literally came back to ask you what the fuck is going on. Oh my god, everybody loves to inhale that copium and act like Hank Hill would not fucking vote for Donald Trump. And it's just, you're wrong.
The chamber because of broken glass right before the senators had to walk in. All eyes will be on Senators Hawley and Cruz and a few of the other objectors. Anderson, I can tell you, behind closed doors, those objectors were meeting, trying to figure out a path forward with staffs on both the Democratic and Republican side.
Bro, Barack Obama came out with a statement. History will rightly remember today's violence at the Capitol incident by a sitting president who is continuing to basically lie about the outcome of a lawful election as a moment of great dishonor and shame for our nation. Yeah, bro, that's way too long, bro. Like, I'm gonna be real. I'm happy for you. Or sad that that happened.
The men and women who stayed at their posts
But I ain't reading all that.
to defend this historic place.
Motherfucker wrote a twit longer like he's
For
some
those who wreaked
fucking
havoc in our capital today,
sexual deviant Twitch streamer or some
you
shit.
did not win. Violence never wins. Freedom wins. And this is still the people's house. And as we reconvene in this chamber, the world will again witness the resilience
they're
and
so
strength
brave,
of our
dude.
democracy. For even in the wake of unprecedented violence and vandalism at this Capitol, the elected representatives of the people of the United States have assembled again on the very same day to support and defend the Constitution of the United States. So may God bless the lost, the injured, and the heroes forged on this day. May God bless all who serve here and those who protect this place. And may God bless the United States of America. Let's get back to work.
Ugh.
Mr. President,
The Majority Leader.
I ask unanimous consent the Majority Leader and the Democratic Leader be allowed to speak and that the time not count against 2 hours of debate in relation to the objection raised on the state of Arizona.
Is there objection? Without objection, so ordered.
On the state of the American people, the United States Senate will not be intimidated. We will not be kept out of this chamber by thugs, mobs, or threats. We will not bow to lawlessness or intimidation. We are back at our posts. We will discharge our duty under the Constitution and for our nation. And we're going to do it tonight. This afternoon, Congress began the process of honoring the will of the American people and counting the Electoral College votes. We've fulfilled this solemn duty every 4 years for more than 2 centuries. Whether our nation's been at war or at peace, under all manner of threats, even during an ongoing armed rebellion and the Civil War, the clockwork of our democracy has carried on. The United States and the United States Congress have faced down much greater threats than the unhinged crowd we saw today.
I feel bad for the staffers. I
We've
feel
never
bad
been
for like a lot of the
deterred
Democratic
before.
politicians. Fuck it. Maybe
And
I'll
will
even
be
feel
not
bad for like a Mitt
deterred
Romney
today.
type. But I do not give a
They tried
fucking
to
single
disrupt our
moment
democracy.
of empathy
They
to this
failed.
turtle fuck, dude. He is literally responsible.
They
Sorry.
failed to attempt.
You're a piece of shit. You don't get to have empathy.
failed
Fuck
insurrection
yourself,
only
okay? I
underscores
don't give
how
a fuck how
crucial
shell-shocked he is, dude. Get the
task
fuck
before
out of
us
here.
is for our republic. Our
Him
nation was founded precisely
and the agitator pieces
so that
of
the
shit
free
that
choice
stand behind him do not
American
deserve a
people
single moment of empathy. They should literally be detained currently.
self-government
They should not be on. They should not be inside of those halls
our nation.
currently.
not
They should
fear,
absolutely be detained for
force.
inciting riots and terrorism
peaceful
and
expression.
engaging in white
of the
supremacist
popular will.
incitement of acts of terror.
Now, we assembled this afternoon to count our citizens'
Also, I
votes
got it shell shocked. Like,
their choice
this is a turtle. It was pretty
of the
funny.
next president. Now we're going to finish exactly what we started. We'll complete the process the right way, by the book. We'll follow our precedents, our laws, and our Constitution to the letter. And we will certify the winner of the 2020 presidential election. Criminal behavior will never dominate the United States Congress. This institution is resilient. Our democratic republic is strong. The American people deserve nothing less.
Democratic leader.
Mr. President. Mr. President, it is very, very difficult to put into words what has transpired today. I have never lived through or even imagined an experience like the one we have just witnessed in this Capitol. President Franklin Roosevelt set aside December 7th, 1941, as a day that will live in infamy. Unfortunately, we can now add January 6th, 2021, to that very short list of dates in American history that will live forever in infamy. This temple
you know
to
they didn't clean
democracy
those fucking
is
seats, bro.
Its
There's
windows
literal
smashed,
fucking
our offices
sneeze. Like, there's
vandalized.
MAGA sneeze all
The
over those
world
halls,
saw
baby.
Americans elected officials
Y'all are getting
hurriedly
COVID.
ushered out.
Actually, it doesn't
Because they were in
it doesn't
harm's
stay
way.
too much on surfaces, right? It's not
House
like
and
a
Senate
foamite
floors
transmitter
were places of
as we
shelter until
previously
the
thought it
evacuation
was.
ordered, leaving rioters to stalk these hallowed halls. Lawmakers and our staffs, average citizens who love their country, serve it every day, feared for their lives. I understand that one woman was shot and tragically lost her life.
Oh,
We mourn
fuck, they all
her
got vaccines. Never
and
mind.
feel for her friends
I
and
forgot.
family.
All these motherfuckers literally got vaccinated.
These images were projected to the world.
It's the staffers that are
Foreign
fucked, as
embassies
always.
cabled home their home capitals to report the harrowing scenes at the very heart of our democracy. This will be a stain on our country, not so easily washed away. The final, terrible, indelible legacy of the 45th President of the United States, undoubtedly our worst. I want to be very clear. Those who perform these reprehensible acts cannot be called protesters. No, these were rioters and insurrectionists, goons and thugs, domestic terrorists.
Not a single one of these pussies will be like, Republicans,
do
you're
not
responsible.
represent
You should be ashamed of yourselves.
There were a few thousand violent extremists who tried to take over
Prediction.
the Capitol building and
Mods.
attack our democracy. They must and should be prosecuted to the full
He
extent
said
of the
terrorists,
law,
but that's not what I'm talking about.
hopefully by this
Prediction,
administration.
mods.
If not,
Will
certainly by the
any of them
next.
call out the Republicans for being responsible?
They should be provided no leniency. I want to thank the many of the Capitol Hill Police and Secret Service and local police who kept us safe today.
Open the Hasino,
And work
baby.
to clear the Capitol and return it to its rightful owners and its rightful purpose. I want to thank the leaders, Democrat and Republican,
I guess it's too
House
late.
and Senate. It was Speaker Pelosi, Leader McConnell, Leader McCarthy, and myself
Wait, what?
who came together and decided that these thugs would not succeed, that we would finish the work of that our Constitution requires us
Bro,
to
that's
complete.
sick. Thanking
Being
Kevin
the very
McCarthy and Mitch
legislative
McConnell.
chambers of the House and Senate that were desecrated, but we know always belong to the people and do
It's too
again.
late. Don't even. I would
tonight.
refund the bet. It's not
But
going to
make
happen.
no mistake. Make no mistake, my friends.
I don't know if any of them talk.
Today's events did not happen spontaneously. The president who promoted conspiracy theories that motivated these thugs,
Oh, wait.
the president
wait.
who exhorted them to come to our nation's capital,
I said Republicans, though.
egged them on,
Not just the president.
he hardly ever discourages violence and more often encourages it. This president bears a great deal of the blame. This mob was in good part President Trump's doing. incited by his words, his lies. This violence, in good part, his responsibility, his everlasting shame. Today's events certainly would not have happened without him.
President Trump is a Republican?
Now,
No,
January
that doesn't count.
6th
We're
will go
talking about
down
something very
as
specific.
one of the darkest days in recent American history. A final warning to our nation about the consequences of a demagogic president, the people who enable him, the captive media that parrots his lies, and the people who follow him as he attempts to push America to the brink of ruin. As we reconvene tonight, let us remember, in the end, all this mob has really accomplished is to delay our work by a few hours. We will resume our responsibilities now, and we will finish our task tonight. The House and Senate chambers will be restored good as new and ready for legislating in short order. The counting of the electoral votes is our sacred duty. Democracy's roots in this nation are deep, they're strong, and they will not be undone, ever, by a group of thugs. Democracy will triumph, as it has for centuries. So to my fellow Americans who were shocked and appalled by the images on their televisions today and who are worried about the future of this country, let me speak to you directly. The divisions in our country clearly run deep, but we are a resilient, forward-looking, and optimistic people, and we will begin the hard work of repairing this nation tonight, because here in America, we do hard things. In America, we always overcome our challenges. I yield the floor.
Mr. President.
Majority Leader.
I yield 2 minutes to the senator from Oklahoma, Senator Langford.
He's such a coward, dude. He can't
Senator
really
from
do
Oklahoma.
it, but he said his enablers.
Vice President, you said things more eloquently than how we say it in Oklahoma. In Oklahoma, we'd say something like, why in God's name would someone think attacking law enforcement and occupying the United States Capitol is the best way to show that you're right?
Wait, hold on.
Why would you do that?
I'm not going to call it yet because others are speaking too. If another Democrat does it, I still will call it. If another Democrat does it, it still is called, in my opinion.
But we talk it out and we honor each other, even in our disagreement. That person is not my enemy. That's my fellow American. And while we disagree on things and disagree strongly at times, we do not encourage what happened today, ever. I want to join my fellow senators in saying thank you to the Capitol Hill Police, the law enforcement, the National Guard, the Secret Service, who stood in harm's way. While we were here debating, they were pushing back. And I was literally interrupted mid-sentence speaking here because we were all unaware of what was happening right outside this room because of their faithfulness and because of what they have done. And I want to thank them. Thank them. Ronald Reagan once said, peace is not the absence of conflict. It is the ability to handle conflict by peaceful means.
Where the fuck was it? Oh, here.
Peaceful people in my state in Oklahoma want their questions answered, but they don't want this, what happened today. They want to do the right thing, and they also want to do it the right way. They want to honor the constitutional process, but they also want to have debate about election security because they want to make sure it's right, which is why it's an important issue that still needs to be resolved. Transparency in government just doesn't seem like a bad idea.
Oh, shut the fuck up, dude.
Obviously, the commission.
Bro, you are literally from Oklahoma, dude.
Happen at this point, and I understand
Stop.
that. And we're headed towards tonight towards the
Republicans should not have a say on this.
of Joe Biden to be the president of the United States. And we will work together in this body to be able to set a peaceful example for the days ahead. I yield the floor.
Democratic leader.
Senator from Nevada, Senator Cortez Masto.
Senator from Nevada.
Mr. Vice President, I know that this room is full of leaders of both parties who love this country, and many believe that for America to succeed, our politics must find common ground. And that has never been
any of them say
clearer
it?
than today, when armed rioters the U.S. Capitol, emboldened by President Trump's false and inflammatory rhetoric about the 2020 elections. I believe that we in this chamber have a special duty as leaders to work together to lower the temperature of our politics. And I hope that my colleagues who have questioned the
Bro, they literally are like, can we all just get back to bipartisan compromise and like expand the surveillance state? Like, what are we doing out here?
and dangerous
Shit got heated, bro.
sowing doubt and uncertainty. I also know that as U.S. senators, we all take solemnly the oath we swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. At this moment in history, I can think of nothing more patriotic than renewing our faith in
and
the
kicking
charters
Republicans
of freedom
out of Senate
that our founding fathers crafted for our republic, starting with the fundamental American principle in our Declaration of Independence that governments derive their just powers from the consent of the governed. The people have spoken in this election, and our only job here today is to do what they ask. It is not to argue election security. That's not the place for what we are doing today. Our Constitution specifically reserves to the people the right to meet in their respective states and vote for the president and vice president. As a result, individual states oversee and implement the election process, not the federal government. To guard against fraud or irregularities in the voting process, the states are required to have robust election security measures. Likewise, state legislatures have the opportunity to examine evidence of voter fraud before they certified their electoral college votes. And our courts, from district courts to the United States Supreme Court, adjudicate legal challenges and election disputes. All of those things happened after the 2020 election. State houses and courts across the country took allegations of voter fraud seriously and followed the constitutional process to hear challenges to this year's elections. No state found evidence of any widespread voter fraud, and neither did any court ask to review the state's findings. In Arizona, Republican Governor Doug Ducey, Democratic Secretary of State Katie Hobbs, Republican Attorney General Mark Brnovich, and State Supreme Court Chief Justice Robert Brutinel all certified the results of the election on November 30th. And we have heard, Arizonans have been voting by mail for almost 30 years. And Governor Ducey has expressed confidence in the state's process numerous times. In November, he said, "We do elections well here in Arizona. The system is strong, and that's why I have bragged on it so much." He further stated, "We have some of the strongest election laws in the country, laws that prioritize accountability and clearly lay out our procedures for conducting, canvassing,
a Trump supporter
and
wrote
even
murder the
contesting
media on the door,
results."
dude.
And they are right. Arizona has one of the most transparent election processes in the country, with built-in accountability, starting with internal auditing. We have heard unfounded allegations that voting machines in Arizona and elsewhere somehow changed vote tallies or somehow improperly rejected ballots while claiming to accept them. These allegations all ignore the fact that Arizona counties conducted ballot audits by hand to double-check the machine counts, and these audits found no widespread fraud or irregularities. Maricopa County, the county where more than 60% of the state population resides, conducted a post-election hand count audit in the week after the election, which showed perfect 100% accuracy in the machine tabulations. So why would we need, my colleagues, to call for a 10-day emergency audit to be conducted by a legislative commission when it's already been done by the state of Arizona? What happened to states' rights? The audit involved checking ballots for the presidential election, but also ballots for federal and state legislative elections. The audit report shows every precinct's machine and hand count totals for each of the races audited. And for every single race in every precinct, the difference between the hand count and the machine count was 0. Maricopa's audit report stated no discrepancies were found by the hand count audit boards. Seeking to find any reason to contest these results, some of the state Republicans then tried to claim that Maricopa County failed to follow state law in conducting this audit by selecting voting center locations to audit instead of voting precincts. This was wrong. And this, too, went to a court. In rejecting this claim, state court in Arizona found that the county followed the properly issued guidance on hand audit procedures from the Arizona Secretary of State. And the court found that Maricopa County officials, therefore, could not lawfully have performed the hand count audit the way the plaintiffs wanted it done. If they had done so, they would have exposed themselves to criminal punishment.
The senator's 5 minutes is expired.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I would close by just saying, please, my colleagues, do not disenfranchise the voters of Arizona and certify their votes
It's not
tonight.
happening.
Thank you.
Majority Leader.
Mr. President, I yield up to 5 minutes to the senator from Utah, Senator Lee.
Senator from
That's
Utah.
not going to happen.
Mr. President, at the time I prepared my remarks for today, it seems like a lifetime ago.
Is there a time
lots
on it?
changed
Is there
in the
a,
last few
did you guys
hours.
put time on the bet?
So I'm going to
Or
deliver
no?
some of the same remarks, but it has a little bit of a different feel than
Okay,
it would
then
have
let's
just
keep
a
it
few
going.
hours ago. My thoughts and prayers go
Let's
out
keep it going
to
then.
the family members of those who have been injured or killed today. My heartfelt gratitude goes out to the Capitol Hill Police who valiantly defended our building and our lives. Well, it's true that legitimate concerns have been raised with regard to how some of the key battleground states conducted their presidential elections. This is not the end of the story. We each have to remember that we've sworn an oath to uphold, protect, and defend this document, written nearly 2.5 centuries ago by wise men raised up by God to that very purpose. That document makes clear what our role is and what it isn't. It makes clear who does what when it comes to deciding presidential elections. You see, because in our system of government, presidents are not directly elected. They're chosen by presidential electors. And the Constitution makes very clear under Article 2, Section 1, that the states shall appoint presidential electors according to procedures that their legislatures develop. Then comes the 12th Amendment. It explains what we're doing here today in the Capitol. It explains that the President of the Senate, the Vice President of the United States, shall open the ballots, and the votes shall then be counted. It's those words that confine, define, and constrain every scrap of authority that we have in this process. Our job is to open and then count. Open, then count. That's it. That's all there is. Now, there are, of course, rare instances in which multiple slates of electors can be submitted by the same state. That doesn't happen very often. It happened in 1960, it happened in 1876. Let's hope it doesn't ever happen again. In those rare moments, Congress has to make a choice. It has to decide which of the electoral votes will be counted and which will not. That did not happen here. Thank heavens, and let's hope that it never does. Now, many of my colleagues have raised objections or had previously stated their intent to raise objections with regard to these. I've spent an enormous time on this issue over the last few weeks. I've met with lawyers on both sides of the issue. I've met with lawyers representing the Trump campaign. reading everything I could find about the constitutional provisions in question.
Little sleeper.
And I've spent a lot of time on the phone with legislators and other leaders from the contested states. I didn't initially declare my position because I didn't yet have one.
No, because you were a pussy.
First, and I wanted to understand what was happening. I wanted to give the people serving in government in the contested states the opportunity to do whatever they felt they needed to do to make sure that their election was properly reflected. I spent an enormous amount of time reaching out to state government officials in those.
Okay, he's definitely not going to say it anyway. He's not going to blame Republicans regardless because it's fucking Mike Lee. But look at, I tweeted out about why are people acting like if these were stolen by some dipshit lawnmower salesman from Kentucky that we'd have to redo the election. And I just looked at the fucking photos because this is where the box was being carried or whatever of the Electoral College votes. Look who's in the background. That's Andrew, right? It's got, or is that Andrew or is that like, nah, Andrew doesn't wear Sperry's though. I don't think he'd be caught dead in Sperry's. Are those Sperry's? If those are Sperry's, then that's not Andrew. It does look like him though. Hold on. I'm gonna send the photo of this to him and ask him if that's him. Someone says Sherrod Brown. No, it's not. He would not be caught dead wearing
Sperry's. Have the authority to prescribe.
Andrew, man, all gas, no brakes.
Time, place, and manner of elections for senators and representatives. There is no corresponding authority with respect to presidential elections. None whatsoever. It doesn't exist. Our job is to convene, to open the ballots, and to count them. That's it. Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay, I'm calling it after this Democrat who speaks.
Democratic leader.
Senator from Colorado, Mr. Bennett.
Senator from Colorado.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, it's been a terrible day for everybody.
Yeah, GG's. Yeah, no, GG's, bro. No.
One of the things I
ain't no way Michael Bennett's fucking saying it, dude. You're done.
When I'm on this floor.
Believers, it's over.
The founders of this country, the people that wrote our Constitution, actually knew our history better than we know
There's
our
no
history.
fucking way,
But I was
dude.
thinking about
There's
that
no
history
way
today
he says
as we saw
actually
the
the
mob
Republicans.
riot in Washington, D.C., thinking about what the founders were thinking about when they wrote our Constitution, which was what happened to the Roman Republic, when armed gangs doing the work for politicians prevented Rome from casting their ballots for consuls, for praetors, for senators. These were the offices in Rome. And these armed gangs ran through the streets of Rome, keeping elections from being started, keeping elections from ever being called. And in the end, because of that, the Roman Republic fell and a dictator took its place.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
And
I can't
that
believe
was
this guy
the
ran
end
for
of
president, dude. Oh, God, I'm dying. Okay, listen.
Any republic, for that matter, until this beautiful Constitution.
It wasn't Andrew. He said he has FOMO. He said, I have FOMO beyond relief.
So it is my fervent hope that the way that we respond to this today,
it wasn't him.
Dear colleagues, is that we give the biggest bipartisan vote we can in support of our democracy and in support of our Constitution,
of course
and
he
in
is.
rejection for what we saw today and what the Roman Republic saw in its own time. There's a tendency around this place, I think, to always believe that we're the first people to confront something when that's seldom the case, and to underappreciate what the effect of our actions will be. We need to deeply appreciate in this moment our obligation to the Constitution, our obligation to the democracy, our obligation to the Republic. There are people in this chamber that have twisted the words of a statute written in the 19th century that was meant to actually settle our electoral disputes, to leave them with the states, as the senator from Utah was saying, to give us a ministerial role, except in very rare circumstances. That's what that law is about, that the senator of Texas was talking about today. And that's the law that's leading us to be asked to overturn the judgments of 60 courts in America, many of them courts in Arizona, some of whom have howled the president's lawyers out of the courtrooms because there's no evidence of fraud. And by the way, the fact that 37% or 39% of Americans think there's no evidence of fraud or think there's evidence of fraud does not mean there is fraud. If you turned a blind eye to a conspiracy theory, you can't now come to the floor of the Senate and say you're ignoring the people who believe the election was stolen. Go out there and tell them the truth, which is that every single member of this Senate knows this election wasn't stolen. And that we, just as in the Roman Republic, have a responsibility to protect the independence of the judiciary from politicians who will stop at nothing to hold on to power. There's nothing new about that either. That's been true since the First Republic was founded. So now we find ourselves in a position just days after many senators here swore an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution. Every single member of the House of Representatives,
he knows he was watching the
swore
stream.
the same oath as well.
That's why he's edging it.
And I think we've got a solemn obligation and responsibility here to prove once again that this country is a nation of laws and not of men. And the only result that we can reach together is one that rejects the claim of the senator from Texas and the other members of the House and Senate who seek to overturn the decisions that have made by the states, by the voters in the states, and by the courts.
He fucking said it, dude.
Follow what they have proposed, we will be the ones.
He did.
That will have disenfranchised every single person.
I mean, he is. He's calling out Republicans
vote in this election
by name,
whether they voted for the president or they didn't. I urge you to reject.
It doesn't get more than that, dude.
I appreciate the opportunity to serve with every single one of you. Thank you, Mr. President.
He literally called him out. He singled him out.
Majority Leader.
I yield up to 5 minutes to the senator from Georgia, Senator Loeffler.
Senator from Georgia.
Can I still place my bet? Delay it further? They're getting more radical?
President, when I arrived in Washington this morning, I fully intended to object to the certification of the electoral votes. However, the events
He not only said Republicans, but
to reconsider. And I cannot now in good conscience object to the certification of these electors. The violence, the lawlessness, and siege of the halls of Congress are abhorrent and stand as a direct attack on the very institution my objection was intended to protect, the sanctity of the American democratic process. And I thank law enforcement for keeping us safe. I believe that there were last-minute changes to the November 2020 election process and serious irregularities that resulted in too many Americans losing confidence not only in the integrity of our elections, but in the power of the ballot as a tool of democracy. Too many Americans are frustrated at what they see as an unfair system. Nevertheless, there is no excuse for the events that took place in these chambers today.
Scared.
And I pray that America never suffers such a dark day again. Though the fate of this vote is clear, the future of the American people's faith in the core institution of this democracy remains uncertain. We as a body must turn our focus to protecting the integrity of our elections and restoring every American's faith that their voice and their vote matters. America is a divided country with serious differences, but it is still the greatest country on earth. There can be no disagreement that upholding democracy is the only path to preserving our republic. I yield the floor.
Why is it so loud? What the fuck?
Democratic leader.
Minutes to Senator Booker and 2.5 minutes to Senator Kaine.
Okay, none of those are gonna. Yeah, none of them are gonna fucking do anything. They're all centrist Andes, dude.
Senator from Virginia.
I applaud the comments of my colleague from Georgia deeply. My first job after school was in Macon, Georgia, working for a federal judge, Lanier Anderson. And I learned a lot about integrity and a lot about law.
Wait, guys, is that?
I also learned some sad lessons that in the history of Georgia and indeed Virginia and many states, so many people, especially people of color, have been disenfranchised over the course of our history.
There are 10 things you need
Our
to
late
do.
friend, John Lewis, congressman from Georgia, was savagely beaten on Bloody Sunday just for marching for voting rights.
Your cousins in Ohio,
That
maybe
act
try
of
and flip 'em
violence
blue.
is
Number 3. Watch Hillary examine the terrain. Watch a campaign with the man Tim Kaine. Tim Kaine in the membrane. Tim Kaine in the brain.
To be coming together today after acts of violence as a United States Senate to affirm the votes of all who cast ballots in November. Instead, we're contemplating an unprecedented objection.
It was so weird that collectively everyone decided that Hamilton was brilliant as shit, dude.
Voters. The Georgia result was very clear.
I'm in dangerous territory. I'm treading dangerous water right now. I got a lot of fucking liberals watching me currently. These are not matters to be fucked with. I'm sorry, liberals. I also love Harry Potter. I swear to God. Please don't get mad at me. And Hamilton is brilliant.
If we object to results like this, the message is so clear. We are saying to states, no matter how secure and accurate your elections are, we'll gladly overthrow them if we don't like who you voted for. But more importantly, what we'll be saying, really what we'll be
Pick
doing,
something, give us more predictions. I think he
is
said
as the
it.
body
I
that
think
acted together
radical
to
liberal Michael Bennett
guarantee
said it.
Americans the right to vote.
But you guys don't want to
we
believe
will
it. So let's, if you
become
want,
the
we can
agent
refund and move on.
Of one of the most massive disenfranchisements
I think he literally called out
in the history.
Or he singled
of this
out a
country.
Republican even.
So I urge all of
and
my
not just Donald
colleagues,
Trump.
please oppose these objections. Thank you, and I yield to my colleague from New Jersey.
Senator from New Jersey.
Mr. Vice President, I can only think of 2 times in American history
I mean,
that
no refund. Dude, fucking
individuals
call
laid
it,
siege
dude.
to our capital,
He did.
stormed our sacred civic
He
spaces,
literally, what do you want him to say? Like
and tried
every
to
single Republican is
upend
responsible for this? Like I don't think
run
he was going to say that. I meant like,
this government
are they going to
when
call
it
out
was
Republicans
in
for
the
this?
war of
And they did.
1812.
Trump itself is not enough.
And the other one was today. What's interesting about the parallel between the two is
he did.
They both were waving flags.
Yeah, I'm calling it.
To
Yeah,
a sole sovereign.
he did.
To an individual, surrendering democratic principles to the cult of personality. One was a monarch in England.
Even
the other were the flags
Nopers
I
are
saw
admitting
all
defeat
over
right
our
now.
Capitol,
Lose gracefully,
including in the
Nopers.
hallways and in this room to a single person.
Let's see what the
named Donald
cash transfer looks like here.
The sad difference between these 2 times is one was yet another nation in the history of our country that tried to challenge the United States of America. But this time, we brought this hell upon ourselves.
144 million points!
My colleague from Texas said that this was a moment where there were unprecedented allegations of voter fraud. Yes,
the
that
greatest
is true.
voice transfer of all time.
They were unprecedented when the president, before the election even happened, said, if I lose this election, then the election was rigged. That's unprecedented. It's unprecedented before the night of the voting, even the counting of the vote was even done, that he called it rigged. And it's unprecedented that he is fanning the flames of conspiracy theory to create a smokescreen in this nation to cover what he is trying to do, which is undermine our democratic principles. But it's not just that. The shame of this day is it's being aided and abetted by by good Americans who are falling prey, who are choosing Trump over truth, who are surrendering to the passion of lies as opposed to standing up and speaking truth to power, who are trying to fundraise off of the shame of conspiracy theories as opposed to doing the incalculably valuable patriotic thing to speak truth to our nation.
What are you guys gonna do? Huh? Are you guys gonna storm the Hasanabi Hasino Capitol building?
Pictures of yet another insurgency, of a flag of another group of Americans who tried to challenge our nation. I saw the flag of the Confederacy there. What will we do? How will we confront this shame? How will we confront this dark second time in American history? I pray that we remember a Georgian. And his words, all I can say is, we must in spirit join together like those Georgians on a bridge called the Edmund Pettus, who joined hands, who were called threats to our democracy, who were called outrageous epithets when they sought to expand our democracy, to save it and to heal it, when they joined arm in arm and said what we should say now, commit ourselves to that ideal, that together we shall overcome.
Majority Leader.
Mr. President, I yield up to 5 minutes to the Senator from Nebraska, Senator Sass.
Senator from Nebraska.
Mr. President, thank you. And Mr. Vice President, let me just say before I begin, thank you for the way you have fulfilled your constitutional duties and your oath of office today. It obviously hasn't been easy. Colleagues, today has been ugly. And when I came to the floor this morning, I planned to talk about the lesson of 1801, because I'm kind of a history nerd. And I wanted to celebrate the glories of the peaceful transition of power across our nation's history. It feels a little naive now to talk about ways that American civics might be something that could unite us and bring us back together. 1801 blew everybody's mind all over the world, by the way. John Adams loses to Thomas Jefferson, and Adams willingly leaves the executive mansion and moves back to Massachusetts, and Jefferson peacefully assumes
Mons, you can
power.
come up with a different
And
gambling
people all
prediction
over
if you
Europe
want.
said that must be fake news. Those must be bad reports. There's no way any executive would ever willingly lay down power.
Too much
And yet
pressure. I
Adams,
hate being
in
the person who
defeat,
has to deliberate
did
on
something glorious to give all of us
Or
a gift.
decide
I wanted
on
to
these.
celebrate that, and it feels a little bit harder now. This building has been desecrated. Blood has been spilled in the hallways. I was with octogenarian members of this chamber that needed to have troops and police stabilize them to get down the stairs at a time when a lot of our staffs were panicked and under their desks and not knowing what was going to happen to them. It was ugly today. But you know what? It turns out that when something's ugly, talking about beauty isn't just permissible. Talking about beauty is obligatory in a time like that. Why? Why would we talk about beauty after the ugliness of today? Because our kids need to know that this isn't what America is. What happened today isn't what America is. They've been given a glorious inheritance. This is the 59th presidential election. If the vice president wasn't the chair and if the president pro tem was, I'd
It took literally like 20 minutes of senators talking for me to feel not so angry about what the Trump supporters did today. What a yikes. What a fucking horrible country we live in. Holy
Dear
shit.
dead, but it's still got a
Still
ghastly
angry,
laugh.
but not as angry as I was
don't
earlier.
think we want to tell the Americans that come after us.
It's like they're like a bunch of millionaires who just like got on the podium and are celebrating one another.
Institutions can't be trusted. I don't think we want that. We don't want that in this body. We don't want that in our hometown.
Holy shit.
I don't think we want to tell our kids that America's best days are behind us, because it's not true. That's not who we are. America isn't Hatfields and McCoy's blood feud forever. America's a union. There's a lot that's broken in this country, but not anything that's so big that the American people can't rebuild it, that freedom and community and entrepreneurial effort, and that neighborhoods can't rebuild. Nothing that's broken is so big that we can't fix it.
Yeah, it's about O'Driscolls, dude, not Hatfields and McCoys. Them O'Driscoll boys are who the bad boys.
Probably not a word. Our ancestors have spilled blood to defend the glories of this republic. Why would they do that? Because America is the most exceptional nation in the history of the world, and because the Constitution is the greatest political document.
Hey, guys, by the way, like, someone also pointed this out in the chat, but, like, someone got shot in the neck today in those halls that they walked by to get back into the fucking, to get back into this, in this area. Like, someone literally got shot in the neck today and died. A couple hours ago. And these fucking sociopaths are like, this is America, baby. Well, also, I mean, I guess when you're a fucking senator, it literally doesn't matter, considering 3,000 people are dying every day of COVID. ICU capacities are at 0% in places like Los Angeles. Doesn't really matter. Move on. Vote and move on. Stop jerking each other off.
So that there's a structure that back home where they live, they can get from the silver frame of structure and order to the golden apple at the center, as Washington would have said it, which is the things that they build together.
Wrap it up.
The places where they coach Little League, the places where they invite people to synagogue or church. Sometimes the big things we do together are governmental, like kicking Hitler's ass or like going to the moon. Sometimes there is governmental stuff, but the heart of America is about places where moms and dads are raising kids, and we're supposed to serve them by maintaining order and by rejecting violence. You can't do big things like that if you hate your neighbors. You can't do big things together as Americans if you think other Americans are the enemy. Look, there's a lot of uncertainty about the future. I get it. There's a lot that does need to be rebuilt. But if you're angry, I want to beg you, don't let the screamers who monetize hate have the final word.
I know why Trump supporters hate this fucking dipshit, dude. He's just such a, like, he's such a fucking theater kid, but he sucks at being a theater kid. He's like,
Organize, persuade.
Everything is like, come on, guys. Like,
visit the
shut
widower
up.
down the street who's lonely, don't want to tell anybody that his wife died and he doesn't have a lot of friends. Shovel somebody's neighbor. Shovel somebody's driveway. You can't hate somebody who just shoveled your driveway. The heart of life is about community and neighborhood, and we're supposed to be servant leaders. The constitutional system is still the greatest order for any government ever, and it's our job to steward it and protect it. Let's remember that today when we vote.
He blamed Trump,
Democratic
probably.
leader.
He blamed Trump earlier. Ben Sass, he loves blaming Trump.
Senator from Illinois.
I mean, he's right, but, like, he sucks regardless.
In March of 1861, a Springfield lawyer caught a train to Washington. His name was Abraham Lincoln. It wasn't his first trip here. He'd served as a congressman 15 years before, and he returned in the beginning of the Civil War to serve as president.
Wonderful Dick Durbin, dude.
It was a different place than he knew it as
Tell us how it is,
15
Dick.
years, and it changed a lot. The Spriggs boarding house across the street, which is now the Library of Congress, was gone.
Literally the ultimate, like, can we just shut the fuck up and get back to increasing the military-industrial complex budgets, please? That's the guy.
But they were also in the earliest days of a war, and President Lincoln
Come on,
was
bro. We'll
counsel.
throw you a bone. We'll, like, you know, rename one of the fucking Confederate...
It costs too much money, and we can't
rename
spend
one of the
any more
fucking
time.
Confederate bases. Come on.
And he said no.
Name it after, like, Lin-Manuel Miranda or something.
And this
Just
building
shut the fuck
will be
up.
a symbol of this country that will survive this Civil War and come back strong. So they built the dome. They won the war. And since those days, that dome and this building have been a symbol to this country, a symbol of unity and of hope. Tourists come through here before COVID-19 by the tens of thousands. And if you've ever noticed their tours, they're often shushed. People are saying, show some respect for this building. We know this building in the Rotunda as a place where some of the greatest American heroes of both political parties lie in state, and we go there to honor them. We know this building because we work here. We enact laws here that change America. We gather for State of the Union messages from presidents and honor the people in the gallery. This is a special place. This is a sacred place. But this sacred place was desecrated by a mob today on our watch. This temple to democracy was defiled.